I don't know if it actually.
The stream is live.
Is it really?
What it said? Yeah, live. We're live.
Oh, I guess we are live. Then so much for this. Just kidding. We don't need to make you wait 30 seconds there. Welcome to Founder Chat 43. We're live, fresh off the Figma Config, which you did not attend this year.
No, we didn't.
What did you? I mean, what were some of the big things? As someone who wasn't there, what was the big thing that they like? Wow, I can't believe they did that.
I think it was flies. That was the
slides.
big. I think the big one. And they waited quite a bit before they showed that. I mean, they did a redesign, a new UI, which is good.
Yeah.
And then obviously they did some AI features now. And then I think the big ones, slides, Figma slides, I think they're called. But I think that's going to be the most piece of it. And we've been talking about this. They even made mention of it. They did a raise of hands, like how many Figma for presentations and slide decks already.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone's like writing, right? So they were like, well, thanks for basically making that stuff for us. So it's going to be interesting. The fact that, PowerPoint still monopolizes so much of presentation decks and it's so hard to work in. This is going to definitely benefit a lot of people. So presentation decks are really going to benefit from all of this.
Yeah, man. Look at. I mean, even here, right?
Yep. And what's going to be see how we sort of take it, because we really use the presentation tool, or not even a presentation tool, but Figma to present the work right in the project. Right? So we'll say, okay, let's move this stuff over. We'll put a title slide in. And you'll just sort of like go through different frames, and it's super quick. I'm interested to see how easy it is to blend the two. I don't want to necessarily have to create a presentation. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to just sort of make the work into the presentation. So whatever we can do. But yeah, look at this, like going through and auto naming the layers. I think I heard everybody clap.
Oh yeah. And it's cool the way he kind of keeps it up, right? I think you can mute your laptop maybe.
Oh yeah.
The founder of Figma built in Keynote.
Yeah.
Right. And he, as it is, when he was presenting, people were trying to get access to the file,
dude,
which is kind of a disaster.
How did he? Where did he go? Like, was he like, hey, everybody here has access to it? Like,
no.
How did they?
He was, and this is a big mistake. What he screen sharing all the new features of the new UI, but he was using and you could see that they had based on what they were going to show next. But you could have tabs in the desktop app,
right?
But for whatever reason, it's in the browser, and so you could see the URL.
Stop it! That's how they found it.
And people that were watching live, I mean, how easy it is to copy or take a screenshot of a URL and copy paste, right?
Wow.
And so before long, within seconds, at first he was thinking deny, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, and then he said, "Team, please lock this file."
Yeah.
The change of permissions. Nope.
Nobody.
Finally,
did.
he gave up. Yeah. And then that little stayed there.
Yeah.
And it just kept
adding. There were like the people.
Bastard. Like, if you're, ask the question, why?
Of course, you just yeah, you just
control.
I mean, no, that's so funny though.
I kind of laughed at a note here. So let's let's kill the.
Oh, you know what? Let me.
I think the echo
How about now?
mic. We apologize.
Technical difficulty.
Producer's on vacation, so we're hot dogging this live stream here. Yeah, we should be good.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a little bit, then he eventually gives up, right?
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is, you can take the butt off of you.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is, towards the end, you know, he's all, just to recap, here's 1, 2, and 3 kind of big things we announced, right? Figma AI, the new UI, and Figma, the AI features, and then it was the slide. Well, not even slide, it was like dev mode.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then someone pull up my presenter notes, because he was acting like he couldn't see them.
I couldn't
And
remember.
he said,
Yeah.
I think I'll fix it. And he like walks to the podium. And so you're thinking he's pissed.
Right.
Someone's going to get fired here. And he goes behind the podium and screen sharing his laptop. And it's Figma slides. And you can see the presenter notes at the bottom. And he's like, oh, there they are. And he's like, it's almost one of those, you know, one more thing.
Yeah.
Totally. People went kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we all do it. We've all done it. We all do it.
Yeah.
And to have it built in is super cool.
Yep. Love it. Smart thinking. And I think it's like, you know, they have to still play this game a little bit, especially after, you know, it's interesting after what's really interesting, we've said this years ago, is why doesn't it have a slide presentation tool?
Yeah.
Why not? And for a long time, that's been open season for them. So it's interesting that with Adobe, I feel like because they were kind of going to get married, there were discussions about who's going to do what, right? Like, because they were like, we can't do XD anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons they killed XD is because they're like, we know too much, right? Like every feature they're going to come out with at XD, they're going to get sued by Figma saying you copied us, because you literally saw, you know what I mean? You saw their whole roadmap.
Yeah.
So Adobe's like, we can't even have this tool now, because we're just going to be copying what Figma did anyway. So they killed it. But it's interesting that for whatever reason they felt like, okay, slide presentations, like that's something Adobe hasn't done for whatever reason. So it's open season for that. So there's this weird sort of like, they're behaving in a way where they're sort of getting along, right? They're not stepping on each other's turf.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of an interesting dance to see happen.
Yeah, totally. Well, here's a feature that both got, I think, some applause and some sideways looks, which was the some of the AI tools, I guess. And so you'll see here, create first drafts in seconds, which is cool. I'll admit that piece.
Yeah.
You go back into the archives, like 2019, maybe for us. Remember, we had an earlier version of the startup countdown.
Yes.
You recall, we had a thing called Adobe
AI,
right, or something like that. We wanted to have this bot inside of Adobe.
Adobe Assistant.
Adobe Assistant.
That's right. What it was, yeah.
And do you remember what some of the prompts we gave it? Like,
no.
Remember we said, well, nothing worse than starting from zero.
Yeah.
So let's tell it, hey, yeah, you know, give me a canvas or a file that's
does this, yeah, for a new website.
For a new website, and then it would just create the guide and everything for you.
That's right.
Back then, like, and that would be freaking cool. Now, Figma obviously has all these presets, right, on the sidebar. No different than Premiere has when you go create a video project. But now this general first draft in seconds, you can literally say, make me, you know, make me a app that, like, you know, that does recipes, or I need a resource center with filters in it.
Yeah.
And it just does.
Just does it like a prompt.
Exactly. Look like a prompt, just like it's showing here. And so you can imagine in seconds, right? You're off to the races, you're working, excuse me, but the sideways look, I think, were more along the lines of they were taking it too far, man, in my opinion. It was like, okay, here's from 0 to 1. But man, this one is really nice. It would be cool if this one was dark mode. Oh,
Yeah.
well, here,
Here we can
click
do
a
it.
button.
Right.
It would be cool if this wasn't sans serif and this was serif. Well, hey,
Right.
guess what? You can flip the font to another font. Or this color scheme isn't doing it for me. Well, guess what? Here's some preset color schemes. So I don't know. It's a little bit of Canva territory
Yep.
for me.
Yep.
That's a little bit weird, but cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
The question is, and maybe it's a good strategy on their part. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to pull some of those folks over that are not big designers into Figma because that's what professionals use. Maybe.
This is going to be the challenge that everyone is going to try to, in the tightrope everyone's going to have to walk. You know, I sent you a thing on here.
Yeah, pull it.
This is the tightrope. Because you don't obviously want to put it out there where you're like, okay, well, nobody's going to use this. But the problem, so this just came out.
Not boring weather app.
Yeah, so you can see it how it's working. So someone types this in. And
I mean, look at that. Seconds.
Yeah, here it goes. It's just going to create it. And what's crazy too, on the left, see those purple links? So it's basically using components. So it's creating these as components as it goes, which means they're all related.
Yeah.
So it's not just designing it; it's building it the way a well.
Yeah. Here's the prompt right back to the dark mode.
Right.
One click.
Right. But there's so this just came out where they obviously did this, but it's basically ripping Apple's.
The UI is really Apple-esque.
Well, this one especially, they did it like 3 times, I guess, and each time it came out with basically the same Apple weather app. So they've stopped. Said, okay, pause this AI feature.
Wow.
Because they're
here's the other thing about the training data, and this is one of the points that came up, right?
Yep.
So Figma, so designers beware. If you don't toggle this feature on or off, there's a very good chance that Figma is going to be training the AI with your designs.
Yeah.
So when you figure there's millions of designers using Figma to create unique design, it's got to learn from.
I know,
right?
But do you want to be poached? You know, here's how I would play if I was Figma. I would say, okay, here's the deal. We obviously need this training data, and we want it from you, but it's valuable to it, right? Monetarily speaking, right? I mean, we plan to profit off of this data, so I think they need to incentivize. I think they need to be able to say, okay, you know, if you now we'll have a Figma free plan, but everything you create is going to go into this engine going forward.
That's not a bad idea.
Right? Or even a discount. You want your company to have it? Fine. Well, then here, you get it.
Yeah, what is that deal worth?
25% off. Right? Well, the problem is, exactly. What is it? That needs to be worth, because if you're going to make money off of it, then I should be saving money on it, you know? And so if I were Figma, because otherwise it's who in their right mind would say, just take it for free.
Yeah, take it, have it, make money off of it.
Make money off of it and let other people make money off of it. You know?
That's right, and because then you can have freelancers and, hey, I could product design this thing for you. I'll charge you $1,000. I'll build you the most beautiful app, right? Create a weather app, beautiful weather app for me, and then
it's ripping some other guy off
in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
and then he sells it for $1,000.
Right. And it's just ripping someone else's design off.
Right.
So
man, this is getting weird, bro.
So who's gonna say okay to that?
Yeah.
So it's gonna get kind of make it a little weird.
Totally.
see how.
Quick question: Are you a
I might want.
are you a name your layers guy, or are you not a name?
No, it depends. I like to organize them sometimes. I will name my frames and I'll name my components.
Okay, because I've seen your Photoshop files back. Those are atrocious,
dude,
bro.
those are wrecked. Wrecked.
This guy is the worst, man. It's like the most beautiful design you've ever seen. It's like, don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah, don't look under the
holding
don't
this
pop
thing
the
up.
hood on that one. It's ugly under there.
Oh shoot! This one got a lot of applause. It was renamed layers automatic
Yeah,
using AI, and I mean it just went down. Like, boom, 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 boom. Really cool.
makes so much sense.
Yeah. And so the UI3 new editor is supposed to be coming out in a few weeks, but essentially it's minimized, it's super minimal now.
Mm-hmm.
And so stuff is kind of floating and making the canvas itself, the thing you're working on, be the center, the center of attention, which makes a lot of sense. The dev tools are super cool too. I sat through a couple sort of deep dives, and I'll admit a lot of this stuff is way over my head, but nevertheless cool, because now, again, I use the analogy of the simple day when we used to have to set fonts into websites manually, and then before long, Adobe Creative Cloud came around and said, hey, with this line of code, you can embed the fonts, and then it would render the fonts. And so the idea of having Adobe code in your site, and your code was new concept. Well, now apps and developers Figma code into their code libraries, because some of this stuff is now connected and codependent. So imagine a button. An example is a button. There's a button. You can have a component for a button, but then you think of all the different states that the button could have, right? Grayed out, hovered, active, clickable, whatever. But then when you look at the grid, the button component has, like 16 different things in it. Well, if you're a designer, you're going to want to design all the states. If you're a developer, you need to hard code all those styles into your code. And this is just one little example, but they were showing components being updated in real time and then connecting to GitHub and then pushing changes directly and vice versa. There was stuff going back and forth that I admit was going over my head. But it's just like, man, Figma is really cool, just as much as it is a designer. So I thought that was super. Back to we talked about this. There's probably other stuff. We did have here. I actually show. We had Airtan. Shout out him, and Rico showed up next day. Check this out. We wrote a Waymo.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy.
First Waymo, self-driving car.
Hello, Charlie.
It was cool. You just hit start ride and then it goes.
Where's the driver? Said buckle up. Where's the driver? Oh my god.
That first day, which was cool, but a lot of great photos. It was fun hanging out with the team. I'm curious to see if any of them are brave enough to jump on the. Look how many people. I tell you, it was chaotic. Like
what? We were there for TechCrunch, dude. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And
it was. Yeah. Totally.
It was.
Udo says I'm a layers guy. It's my OCD. Good for you, Udo. Good for you, man.
You need a little OCD. It's like Illustrator. It's sort of like Adobe's nerdy. be really good at it, you have
Yeah.
to know exactly what you're doing. That's
well.
interesting. Look at that.
A little sightseeing, you know, seafood,
some Golden Gate.
Yeah. The parts that weren't in the city. Let's see. I want to hear from you on the team here. Who's gonna do it? Ayrton, can I get you in here? All right, I see him. He's brave. Let me bring in Ayrton, our senior project man. What's up?
What's up, guys?
What was your favorite part of that, man? You're in Figma, by the way, for the record.
I'm a what?
I would say Ayrton probably our most improved.
Most improved.
You can mute yours. Yeah, Ayrton went from not knowing what Figma was to kind of an expert. So we said, you're coming to Figma big with us this year. What are some of the things you like, man?
I think one of the coolest ones was like the automatic prototyping. Like you can just kind of connect your frames now and just, you know, obviously AI does its magic, but it'll create a prototype for you. Just I don't know. I'm in love with Figma prototypes, so I gotta think for it. But it's a pain in the ass, you know. You gotta connect everything, and the fact that Figma will do it for you now, it's brilliant.
Yeah, we saw them do it live, literally seconds. We saw the actual connecting, buttons are automatically linked to it, and it's amazing. Again, it's like perfect. Does it get it right? I get to like 80% there, but that's half of the battle. That's it, usually, right? And so it's super cool. What do you think about the slides, man? Slides.
Hey, I'm hoping some clients pull through. You know, let's. I feel like it's our duty to get some of our clients on Figma now. You know, so many
that
people
was
are
the big
connected
thing.
to Illustrator.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know, Microsoft PowerPoint. It's time to boot them. Sorry.
I know, because we have so many clients on Teams still, right? They have to use slides. We end up designing them in Figma first.
Well, yeah.
Right? And then exporting.
Oh, well, Ayrton found a plugin too to help.
Yeah, but it's still static, you know? It's still a static application. Like what you can do in Figma slides is kind of almost it's a little endless there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine if I was a company and I was doing pitch decks remaining on Illustrator. I couldn't do it. I couldn't picture it.
All right, man. Favorite food?
Oh man, that katsu sandwich at Figma, the Figma.
They had the worst lunch. Worst lunch. Well, I told you, my exaggerating, dude. Was there like 2,000 people online for this?
Dude, I've never seen so many people swarm to get a free lunch.
It was like a concentration.
Yeah.
Get in line.
Like refugees.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
No.
I wasn't gonna eat, and then Ayrton texted the group and said, "Hey, I got you. I don't know. These guys somehow snuck too, and so they got me one. And it was like it's between the katsu sandwich and some veggie wrap or something. And I needed protein, so it was the worst thing I've ever had. And that's what people were in line for. It was the worst. We did have some Phil's coffee. So there was some redemption there. All right, Ayrton. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace. Where's Rico at? Where's Cam? No takers. All right. Well, let's wait and see, man. Stuff comes out.
Yeah.
See people respond to it. Should be excited.
Yeah.
New features.
But it's, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see how all this stuff sort of ends. It's starting to get. I was telling you earlier, one of our favorite tools,
Yeah,
is now being sued by Sony and probably Universal as for infringing on their collection, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going after what's called fair use. And so, I guess we have in the United States, we have a principle called fair use, which means if it's sort of out there in the world, you can create derivative pieces of it as long as it doesn't compete directly with the original. And so there's it's sort of a gray area. So what the AI companies, and I know OpenAI is sort of doing the same thing, where they're scraping the internet, they're looking at stuff, and the idea is that even if you ask it to create something specific based on the original, it won't give you the original. So that's their way of saying, okay, I can ask it to, or even like in Suno, you can't give me a Bruno Mars song.
Right.
It'll say, yeah, you can't use the word, you can't request Bruno Mars. But if you ask for a rock, pop, funk, song, this sort of instrumentation, then it's
24 karat gold.
Right. And you can even use the same lyrics, right? I mean, it's not really, it doesn't really, but what's interesting is you can't reference artists in its description.
Right.
Same thing with OpenAI. If you ask it specific questions about a book, for instance, it'll say, I can't give you a passage from the book, but I can summarize it for you. And that's sort of the gray area, right? And so that's where they're saying, even if, play with, you can sort of get you can get vocals that sort of sound like Ariana Grande, but there's no way you're going to be able to say that is exactly Ariana Grande's voice. And the people at Suno and all these companies they're putting in a little bit of a filter to say, based on the information you have to twist it some way on the way out so that you're not getting into one, getting a version of it. It's somehow affected, so that it's not traceable. And so it's going to be interesting because the record companies feel like they've got this in the bag. Like they are stupid confident that they're going to be able to pull this off. I don't think so. But I am curious sort of how this played out, because the problem is going to be if let's say that happens, let's say if they do win, that's great and all, fine. Record companies sort of win the day. But this is only going to apply to those companies and in this country. And so, granted, EU, maybe they have similar things, but China doesn't care. And China can listen to this just as easily.
Wait. It's a prediction. And again, I don't know if this is something that they're doing or not, but I'd predict a day when TikTok has it built right in. If they don't already.
You do remember Musically where it started.
That's right.
And that was crazy cool the way they did that.
But imagine doing, posting like, hey, you're going to post a video, but then I'll write my own song.
Right.
Like right as you're posting. Because why couldn't it?
Why couldn't
in seconds write the song you want? And so
that's
again, it's China.
Right.
They don't care.
Do you know what my solution for the TikTok dilemma?
Yeah.
Just put it on the browser. It's already on a browser.
Correct.
Because the only issue right now
is accessible through the browser.
Not probably. But you could do a creator version. You could do creator tools and then the network and just split it.
Yeah.
TikTok's all on the web now anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
A web version of it.
But if it got banned here, could you be a VPN and access
you don't even need a VPN. The only thing that's going to be banned
is downloading it
on the App Store. I don't think they can officially ban it from being used. I think that's a bridge too far.
Right.
But they can say, we don't want it on these app stores. We don't want it available this way. And if it was just on the browser, well, and at that point too, say, okay, well, browsers are kind of limited in what they can information that can gather from a device anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it sort of you can still have it, but it'll be sort of but we know web apps are basically the same thing anyway. Most apps on the web apps for now are just, I feel like, web app wrappers.
Yeah, for sure.
And so anyway, that's my solution hack for
TikTok, AI powered by Musically.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine.
Yes.
Think back.
Right. On the web. But I do think it's going to be interesting to see sort of how these companies sort of navigate all this. But I was going to say, I think that the thing we have to sort of, again, it's getting into geopolitics, but you don't want to create a regulatory environment where you're pushing this innovation overseas, because it's going to happen. It's just a question of where and when. And so, I could, I think I've told you this. I don't know if this falls in the line of conspiracy theory or not, but I can foresee a time when some of these companies actually go into international waters to function, simply because of the regulatory concerns that they're going to have of being shut down. I think there's going to be a point in time when this AI stuff becomes very hot, and it's going to be too polarizing for politicians not to get involved on the side. And you're going to have countries that are going to ban it outright.
Yeah.
Some are going to embrace it. Some are going to try to make it state run. Some of them are going to try to leave it to the free market. But you're going to have a whole plethora of ideas on how to sort of handle this. And so, you're just seeing, it's just the beginning, I think, to, it's going to work its way through the court system in these specific areas, but we're just seeing the tip of it.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah. So whatever that means. Buckle up. That's all I can
Buckle
say.
up, folks. Yeah.
See
Next
ya.
time.